New Berlin, 2087. They're all fighting to take control over the city. Inside the New Berlin Wall, the corporations control everything. The elites live in luxury.
Elysium Game Studios just revealed another new trailer for New Berlin 2087. A game I've mentioned earlier in the month. This is a first and third person Unreal Engine 5 semi-open world shooter next generation exclusive. Formerly we actually had a story trailer just introducing the IP, and now some finally in-game footage. The story here is about some cyberpunk realm version of Earth in which you play as a detective. Check it out. Game's releasing early to mid for PCs and the PlayStation 5 only.
Whoever's responsible doesn't want this to be solved. I'm being followed, targeted. The truth is always a threat when corruption is in control. Maybe I can stop this city from falling into chaos.
Game Science just went on and launched the official Steam page for Black Myth Wukong, finally. That's an action RPG hack and slasher based on the Chinese literature. Now, a quick mention over here, this is kind of like a 30-second trailer. Teamy Studios just showcased a new entry in the old voxel-based military shooter, Delta Force, going by the name Hawk Ops. The game apparently has been in the making for over 3 years, and it's coming to PCs, PlayStation consoles, and Xbox Series X as well.
Recon arrow out.
Powering up. Let's do this.
But I will not give up. Whenever I am called to duty.
Come November 3 this year, I think we can finally have hands on Quantum Era, one of, if not the most awaited survival horror games of the past few years, that was actually scratched from the ground up more than twice to be made with a better engine. In fact, it's now being made with Unreal Engine 5. The game is no longer a PlayStation 5 exclusive, it's now coming to PCs, Xbox Series X, and even the PlayStation 4. To accompany the good news, we got some new footage as well.
And please help me to put every fire out.
Jacob, if this facility, tech, that artifact gets into the wrong hands, there may not be anyone left to save.
The fireman mocks my powers.
Of their laughter, their struggles, their glory.
Titan Quest is now getting a long-awaited sequel, mixing the ARPG formula that it always did offer with Greek mythology, as it was the case too, but using Unreal Engine 5 this time around. A new entry going by the name simply Titan Quest 2. See, about a week ago actually, THQ Nordic came out with the announcement, mix of both cinematic and gameplay, promise a much larger character customization options, new classes and more varied multiplayer. Much more.
Their ambition angered the goddess.
And winged retribution showed them no mercy. Staining their strands with darkness.
Everyone that can fight already is. And we're still losing.
Ahead of its release of August 22nd this year, Immortals of Avium, which has been one of the most talked about games out of EA Games, just got a new trailer featuring almost everything you just need to know about the new game. A reconfirmation that the game is now a PC to next generation console exclusive. Immortals of Avium is, I've mentioned before, a first-person fantasy or magic shooter in which you play the role of a pro mage tasked with restoring order and stop a tyrant or tyranny. Check it out. Revealed almost a year ago to this very day, not even on YouTube. I doubt most of you have been familiar with this one if you missed out on my previous videos, even though I did mention it. Number 7, we have a rather Tomb Raider game or a project heavily inspired by that out of China with over $50 million of funds called The Grass of Genesis. Grass of Genesis has been in the making for over 4 years. This game is coming to PCs, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X only at some point next year. Coming as another work of China Heroes project, just like the game Lost Soul Aside, which we're going to mention in a minute. We've got over here another Souls-like action RPG in the making, although this was just revealed through the China Showcase, a game called Daba, Land of Water Scar. Weird name, but this game tells the story of a humanoid clay puppet set on a period where the world is on the verge of collapse. Anyway, here's some more in-game footage, story. The game is now coming to the PCs only. So this has been a thing since the dawn of PlayStation 5, and number 9, in case you missed it, we've got over here the much awaited Lost Soul Aside, an action hack and slash RPG, PC to PlayStation 5 exclusive that's been in the works for almost 5 years already. That's almost as old as I started just working on YouTube. Sony Interactive just came out with more than like 20 minutes of gameplay for it. They said the game's releasing in the first quarter of 2024.
Located halfway between a solo narrative game and an open world PvP, the oppressive atmosphere of the remnants of the old world and the former civilization is at the heart of the game.
Moving on, we've got over here Rooted. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. This is a survival almost cloned off of the Last of Us games, but it's going to be using Unreal Engine 5. Games set on a post-apocalyptic version of Earth set about 80 years into the future, where you are one of the few survivors left to progress and adapt through the new world. Rooted is still in its very early stages of development apparently. The game is set to be coming to PCs only in about a year or two.
It's not at all representative of the final result of the game. We offer it this early out of respect for the founders who founded the game via Kickstarter and our website, and to get feedback as quickly as possible on the core features of the game in order to have the most stable foundations possible for the future.
Death, Lady of Men, Lady of the true faith and of the true path of those who breathe, hear my clamor.
Deathbound was aired about 2 weeks ago, and ever since it's been taking a lot of attention on IGN. This game, if you missed out on, is an action RPG hack and slasher. It is not Diablo since it's not a top-down in gameplay, but a third-person player, and quite a bit like a bunch of other games we've had earlier this year. Here's a trailer we got from its publishers, which are by the way the same folks who brought Cowboy games around in Remake. Game is now coming to PCs only next year.
O Lady, I beg of thee, give us thine protection today, that we might make thee an offer of 1,000 infidels cut down by our swords. Postpone today our inevitable end, so that our life becomes an instrument of death. By the breath, by the war, by the peace.
Announced maybe 3 years ago to this very day, initially, even though remained silent for like a whole year until the official announcement was made in IGN. Number 12, we have one of the most anticipated yet off-the-radar projects, continuing the Swordman series of games going by the name Love, the Story of Ziyun Lu. It's a Souls-like hack and slash RPG, quite a bit like the upcoming Black Myth Wukong. It's a PC to PlayStation 5 exclusive and said to be coming out next year. Coming as the first work of a one-man developer, number 13 we have Parasites, The Parasites. This is an open-world survival horror game set in an abandoned corner of Earth where, after the fall of a giant meteorite, a huge area has been evacuated by the government, although this area has been populated by a small team. And you happen to be one of the lucky survivors, and you're gonna have to see something like the movie The Hills Have Eyes. Anyway, the game is coming to PCs only sometime later this year. You can actually play it through a demo already.
But now, they want...
During Annapurna Interactive's showcase about a couple months ago, we got words that these folks are making a Blade Runner game entitled Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth. Nothing much, just a cinematic, maybe hints of gameplay here. All we know is the game is coming to the PCs in both generation of consoles early next year. It actually takes place in a dystopian LA after the blackout between the original Blade Runner and the sequel Blade Runner 2049.
in the land of the dead.
Oh, don't be afraid, Charlotte.
And last but not least, we have over here a first-person shooter multiplayer horror game called Boneless. I've mentioned it a few days ago. It's a brand new game from a brand new company, quite a bit inspired by games like Dead by Daylight, set about 200 years into the past with a premise like the movie Mist, where some sort of portal's been opened somewhere on Earth and through it has been coming demonic beings from another realm. Check it out. Game's set to be coming to PCs only early next year.